All praises to the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, the bonus to the elders and apostles of GMS rule, world shall I want to the hopeful elect. Um, I'm not gonna get into certain situations, but yeah, I was sleeping today, and I woke up and fell asleep, like 3 times, and every single time I just had like mad visual dreams, and it weren't dreams about like end times or anything like that, but I felt like they were symbolic, you know what I mean? And it's nuts because I used to be when I was younger, and I used to be into like art and comics and things like that. And I was in like a comic shop, you know, and I had this little Edomite girl, some blonde Edomite girl. She came up and she hugged me, and this was a dream, and it was real sweet in a dream. But I remember even in the dream, I was thinking to myself, I hope no one thinks like like I'm a pedophile for hugging a child. You know what I mean? It just shows you how backward this society is, because that's a very real fault with people dealing with children. You don't want them thinking you can't even take your niece or nephew to the store because do you know what I mean? Men out there must know what I mean. Women are trusted, and even then, there's a lot of women that do a lot of stuff that they shouldn't do to children. But it's like this society is so messed up that anything you do, you're scrutinized for. You know what I mean? It's just a real backward society. I remember one time, my friend must have left his daughter with me, and he was gonna take his woman to like dinner, and I felt so uncomfortable, man. I didn't even want to touch her. I just ended up sitting in the living room, and they must have gone like 10 minutes down the road, and they ended up coming back. So I know they was thinking the same thing in their head. You know what I mean? But you're supposed to be able to trust people. Let me get this scripture first before I read it. God, this society is all messed up, man. You can't just go to the shop and leave your door open because somebody actually might come and rob you. I even saw something on Instagram where somebody left their child in a car, and somebody tried to drive off in a car. Isaiah 11:18, and the suckling child shall play on the hole of the asp, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice den. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. So it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamath and from the islands of the sea. And I started having this other thought in my head that, Esau is actually, what he's trying to do is he's trying to stop the wedding by having his own fake wedding. He's trying to marry himself, to the Most High's people. And I was looking at this, and I just watched this thing, and these people will think this ceremony is barbaric, because what these people actually do is they sell their daughters, at bride markets. People look at it like it's archaic and animalistic and backward and all of this stuff. I'll just play a little bit.
Просто ако не е момата действена, като я продадеш, започват да приказват за нас долни, курви, мъсти и такива. Значи сме изпаднали.
I'm taken aback by how matter-of-fact they all are about the possibility of being sold off.
Saturday is the big bride market.
Now, she just said she was sold off as a child, and she's still with Guy. Like, you look at this kingdom. Now, people say it's backwards. I thought she was going to say it's backward, but the whole point is they must think this whole situation is backward. But when you really, really peep it, she's still with her husband. She's all had kids with them, you know. These people didn't have much, but she'd come in the living room, and this woman brought out like Coca-Cola and some sweets or whatever, and she's like, this is a treat. So you can tell from that they didn't have a lot, but they still lived, they lived closer to how they're supposed to live than we do. They all had animals in the back and stuff like that. Like, in this society is very backward, but it's become normalized. It's like I always say this stuff. If you were born in a society where your arm is chopped off at birth, and you're born with two arms, you're gonna be strange to everybody else, even though that's how you're supposed to be born. And I was watching this program called See. Well, I wasn't watching it, but I was looking into it, and basically, it's like everybody was blind, and I think the aspect of somebody was born who could see, so they're looking at that person like they're a freak basically because everybody is blind. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what this society is like. If you're not like everybody else, you're looked upon as there's something wrong with you, but there's something fundamentally wrong with this society. And I was even watching some video recommended by the elder Malcolm. I think it was by something Nubian Queen or something like that, where some Jake woman was going into the wax and how basically it doesn't say what it's supposed to do. And basically somebody in the comments, and it kind of pissed me off until I actually reread it, and it said quote unquote blacks and those with PhD are meant to be the highest among those who are you know who are unwaxed or whatever, or wax, not the other word. But it really got me to thinking. It just shows you that Jake, even though Jake is in a low place, Jake still has this self awareness about them. Even though they're lost, they still have this self awareness about them. Uh, Ecclesiastes 10:16, fully is set in great dignity, and the rich sit in low place. I have seen servants upon horses, and princes walking as servants upon the earth. He that diggeth a pit shall fall into it, and whoso breaketh a hedge, a serpent shall bite him. Whoso removeth stones shall be hurt therewith, and he that cleaveth wood would be endangered thereby. So again, it goes into Esau basically trying to stop the marriage from taking place, but that's ultimately gonna fall upon him. He's basically hurting himself by doing that, because he's not gonna stop the marriage. He's trying to create this fake marriage by putting that MOTB and everybody else and marrying himself onto all the peoples onto the earth, and holding himself as the most high, which is not gonna happen, because this man really is he's a bastard, really. He's a bastard. He doesn't have a father, and everything he does is against nature, which is just a pale comparison to nature. His food is a pale comparison to nature. Like his vehicles, the everything that he does, it actually goes against nature, and nature is still stronger than anything he does, because he'll build all these buildings, and I'm sure people are seeing it. These landslides will come out and they'll just take out all the buildings and everything that he's built. So even though he thinks he's above nature, nature still easily destroys everything he builds, and nature will still reclaim everything he builds. When you look into those you look at a place that's been abandoned, you go there, there's weeds growing over the buildings and things like that. It's like nature reclaimed its own. If its technology was so great, it would stand testament and it would stay there for all the ages. But even all the societies that's come and been, you see that nature reclaims them. So he really is trying in vain to go against what's natural. Matthew 22:9. Go ye therefore into the highways, and as many as ye shall find, bid them to the marriage. So those servants went out to the highways and gathered together all as many as they found, both bad and good. And the wedding was furnished with guests. And when the king came in to see the guests, he saw that there was a man which had not on a wedding garment. And he said unto him, Friend, how camest thou in hither not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless. So if you're not going to prepare yourself, for the wedding, and by you really taking this thing that these man, this beast man is telling you to take, you're literally undressing yourself. You're becoming a whore for him. You're going to become his whore. You're going to be married unto him, and you're not going to be invited, into the true marriage, which is, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. You're marrying yourselves unto the Father through the Son. And these people want Esau as their husband and their power, which is just just stupid, really. I can't even think of another word. Romans 8:16, the Spirit birth itself, witness with our spirit that we are the children of power. And if children, then hires, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, heirs of power and joint heirs with Hamashiach, if so be that we suffer with him, that we may also be glorified together. For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. For the earnest expectation of the creature waited for the manifestation of the sons of power. So, all those who seek the Most High, they're going to suffer in this life. Same, I was just showing that video. Those people, they live in a very low condition. They might be Jakes, I don't know. But I know they keep more to their ways than a lot of people who you would know that are Jakes. Even a lot of the elders that we watch, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but they live closer to how they're supposed to live than we do in this society, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful towards the elders. I'm just saying, they keep to the old ways. We're not able to do that. The elders have the word, but those people, they marry properly. They may not have the spirit, but they marry properly. They have animals. They're living closer to nature than than a lot of people in the society. And again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the elders. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, it's a matter of balance, and the spirit, having the spirit and understanding Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai is more important than living like that, But it is what it is, ultimately in the kingdom it's all going to come together and people are going to be perfect and righteous. But, you have bits and bobs of what the kingdom's supposed to be like here and there. Some people have the word, some people are living close to it. Some people are, are with animals and have the land and so on and so forth, but they don't necessarily have the spirit. So that there's aspects of the kingdom on earth, because the kingdom is going to be on earth, but not in its entirety and not in perfection, because this world is just sullied, man. Esau has just messed everything up. John 4, this is John 4:24. Yahweh is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. The woman said unto him, I know that Messiah cometh, which is called Hamashiach. When he is come, he will tell us all things. Then Yahweh Shai saith unto her, I that speak unto thee am he. So, really and truly, the Lord's bidding us to the marriage, and he's really going to marry us unto himself through, Yahweh Shai. And anyone who really going against that and doesn't believe that and goes into this artificial wedding that he still wants to put on, which it is artificial, and yeah, he's spiritually, physically, and mentally trying to get you to marry onto his ways. If you look into let's look into the definition of marriage real quick before my 15 minutes are up. The legal or formal recognized union of two people as partners in a personal relationship, historically and in some jurisdictions specifically a union between a man and a woman, a combination of mixture of elements. So it's, when you marry something, those two become one, and Israel is the woman in this situation, and the man being Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, because we're married unto the Father through the Son, and that's something that escapes a lot of people. I don't want to put in a wrong, definition and say it wrong, but a marriage is, two people becoming one, and in this society you really can't be one with the Most High, because everything just really trying to throw you off course. You have headaches, you're not eating the right food, you're constantly being vexed by people. People are looking at you strange for trying to be righteous, and I'm saying trying, you're trying to live as righteously as you can, and people, that I feel like that even annoys people. Like even at work, you be trying to do the right thing, people are looking at you like your job's worth. These times you couldn't care less about the place, you just want to do what's right. So it's real weird in this society. But yeah, that's it. All praises to the Most High. Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the elders of the Apostle of James. Well, shalom to the elect.